Okay, good morning, everybody. This is Jennifer Nissanon.
Thank you.
11 o'clock, I call meetings of the PPAC Safety and Security Subcommittee to order. Let's start in with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Starts out with a mention. This is Jennifer Nissanon, our Security and Safety and Security Subcommittee. We're doing roll call.
Richard Butler, Safety and Security. Marty Manford, Val Drive, 295 Rio Drive.
Carol Pancall, 10605 Buffalo Circle.
Ed Hedges, PPAC.
Us, Safety and Security Committee.
Jay Gann, Safety and Security.
Paul Flores, Public Works Director, Gateway Services. No, we do not.
Okay, terrific. Okay, I think we have some public comment.
I'd just like to know the status of the swirly cleaning the pavers and the bricks.
It's on our agenda.
You know, where was that?
Well, it's kind of hidden under something that's called, let's see here.
The quick hits. It's the last.
It's in the last thing in the quick hit.
Yes, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
put it on. I thought it was a separate agenda.
Actually, aren't they doing it right now?
I don't know. I haven't.
Yes, we are. We've been progressing. We started a few weeks ago. We've had to do a start and stop. We did. We were challenged with some mechanical breakdowns, but we're drawing near to the end. We have a few more days left of work to complete that entire area. Pressure washing. Yes. You'll notice that there's a lot of the challenging thing with pressure washing, especially in such a thoroughfare in that area, is the MOT, just making sure that the workers are safe. But we have been progressing, and hopefully just a few more days we'll be complete with that.
It's just spreading the dirt around.
Okay, that's yeah. I'll double check that, but I know there was a noticeable difference when we first started. So I'll get with the crew to make sure that they're definitely cleaning that area. No, it does not.
Well, you know, the fear was that it was going to loosen bricks, undermine it. They were going to come up from the roadway.
And he didn't.
And it hasn't. No, there.
And this initial pass was supposed to test whether.
Yeah, we checked it.
Yeah.
Okay.
They look safe.
Looks good.
Yeah.
I think they look safe.
Since we're talking about it right now, and everyone was supposed to take a look at it. Yeah, I thought we were only going to do the test and we were going to talk about it and then decide if we were going to do the rest. And I knew that it was progressing across the whole entrance area. I didn't know about today, but a couple days ago, I left and then came back in and it was clear that they were doing it. So,
All right, so well done to the subcommittee.
yeah, exceeded expectations as long as the dirt isn't just getting swirled around.
So,
Yeah, as long as going
So
to
maybe
pattern,
we
you
need
just push it.
Yes, because it's as you pressure wash, all the grime and the mold will come up. So it's just a matter of sweeping that and pushing it.
Oh, okay.
Pushing that
We'll have
out.
to wait till the whole thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Would you be willing to when it's done and then we can? Right, and
Absolutely.
then we'll, I think, feel more comfortable with doing other parts of the development.
Well, that's all last week.
so it sounds like the initial trial was expanded. It was supposed to be just where they parked the car, but they seem to have expanded it.
Yeah.
And when I looked at it, it had only been that first area, so you could clearly see the difference.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, the edges, but things kind of buck up a little on the edges, but that's
Right.
to be expected.
Yes. So when we first started, we did do the test area. We did a little more than what we thought originally. And we did notice that there was no, the sand and the fill in between the pavers was not being affected. So we just figured, let's just continue on since it looks good. It shows a noticeable difference. So we continued. Plus we were getting a lot of positive feedback from residents as well.
Look, any public comments? Would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Sherry Schiller, I'm a resident here at Pelican.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you, I'm just here observing and
Feel free. Yeah, we love to have residents join us. Okay. Okay, let's look at approval of minutes that we have in our package.
There were no minutes in the packet. And there was no dates referenced on the agenda.
Isn't that interesting? I didn't notice that. I just went through the whole package.
We were fine.
You are right. There's no minutes.
All right, 2 agenda items down. Financial report, district financial report. Anybody have any questions or comments about it? This is through May of 2025.
Say is I think the under street lights at 120,000. I'm assuming that is 100 and some thousand.
Actually ask about that because that number didn't jive very well with last month. So
Yes, I believe that is the purchase order that was issued. Bear with me. Let me see if I can pull this up to A Plus Environmental for the removals of the light poles, but they won't be done until the time that they're installing, and they'll remove those light poles at the same time simultaneously.
Should be, that will come next year, so this should just be the contribution and aid in construction support.
So yes, that is correct. So, but it was 108,000. I apologize, for A Plus for the removal, which will be taken from the 250. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Because I did want to address the question. Right. I will have to ask that.
See the 130. I can see the amount that we have to pay for the power and light as our contribution as construction should be an encumbrance on this year's budget.
Hmm.
You have to see that. So.
check on that.
Yes, I will definitely check on the status of that, why the PO was issued. But I do believe it doesn't affect the total dollar amounts. It's just a separate purchase order for the removals.
Status. Let's go to do some quick hits here. We were just mentioning right before we started that this got a little reorganized. So we're going to be bouncing back and forth a little bit. So the person who did it thought it actually looks like it would be the right thing to do, but going forward, we just need to make sure things are all grouped together properly. The first one on the speed hump. Do we have any status on? We do.
Yes, we do have status on the speed hump. So we did reach out to the engineer to ask for suggestions on how to highlight the speed bump. We initially asked if there was any way we could use orange color paint, which was the answer. The response was no. But we did come up with an alternative method, which is to add these white chevron lines prior to speed bump. And I do apologize. Let me just see if I can magnify this so you can see the difference here. So if you see the existing speed hump that's in existence right now, these additional lines would be added, which would highlight that the speed bump is forthcoming.
Why can't they just do what they originally proposed, which was have a black outline on the chevron, which would really highlight the fact that here's the bump. There's a
I,
speed
I
bump.
think that's definitely an alternative, but is there any opposition as to the chevrons, the leaning chevrons? Was there any?
Other community, they use a white chevron. That's what you see around.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the things,
I-
that- one of the, one of the things Dean suggested was to put a down arrow on the speed hump sign, like most of the crosswalks have, to say that it's here, but
Okay, I raised the original issue, so I'll just tell you why I raised it. Couple things. One, it was in the original design that we approved and they didn't do it. Secondly, the way it's painted right now, if it starts to get dark out, you're not necessarily going to be able to see the differentiation between the chevron and the color of the roadway. And we have an aging population, and as you get older, you need more light, you need more differentiation in order to see it. So I was worried it was a safety hazard because some people might not be able to see that really well. And as I wander around, sorry, one more thing. As I wander around at different places that have these, I notice that the ones that have the black markings on the outside, I mean, I don't have any vision issues with this. I'm wearing my glasses, and they really are, I think, easier to see. That's just my one little personal opinion.
Now, I happened to be talking with Perry Dragon the other day, and he said the triangles that are on the home itself, one triangle on one side, one on the other, couldn't we just paint that yellow or orange, or just paint the triangle that's on?
Yes, the engineer says that's not an option. You know, orange is used for division of traffic. White, and the issue is that is you can't see it, right? So to paint it, to use some sort of factor to darken the concrete would be the challenge. The leading chevron, because this is what it looks like right now.
stuff that they put on the blacktop to put it,
Right.
put it in the concrete. That way it looks like it'd be the same black roof.
Well, if somebody's going too fast and they don't see the speed hump, that'll be the last time they're going fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the leading chevrons, this is to MUTCD standard, so that's a DOT, approach to identifying the speed hump, and that's what the engineers support. I mean, other than a sign, and well, that's the other issue, another sign, right?
Speed idea was to put a down arrow.
The
This kind
difference
of
in speed humps.
was a resident
Yeah.
arrow, was to put a down arrow on, so that people knew that that's where the was. But painting, I just don't like the idea of
The leading chevrons to the speed hump.
did one that was first put in, but after you go over it once or twice, you didn't know.
Right.
I just wondered.
Yeah, that's the
history
purpose
and
of it,
whether
to slow
we may
people
just
down.
leave alone.
Just can't believe they won't let us paint it yellow.
Yeah, cannot paint it yellow. That doesn't mean standard.
Yeah.
Now, because it's our speed hump, can we around the white arrow?
Yeah.
That's not, on the white chevron.
Yeah.
I say that for the ground, on the sidewalk, but I mean, on the pavement, but what about on the pump itself?
Right.
I mean,
Because-
it won't flood.
Is it ours or?
CFCDD.
That's, I don't know.
It's on the CFCDD.
I mean,
City of Fort Myers.
City of Fort
They own
Myers,
the road.
are.
No,
Until that dry.
I believe it's on this, it's a CDD side. I believe.
Yeah.
Because I think we end just right past Vicenza there.
Yeah. The one we took out.
Right, right. So Madam Chair, I just need some, better direction. Do you want me to go back to maybe highlighting a black outline to that? We're also going to talk about restriping throughout the community. Maybe just restriping it with thermal may be a solution as well.
Just to me, it seems like that white paint they put on that is faded since the time they did it. So your thermal paint, that kind of reflective, is that what you're saying?
Yes, because they put that glass, so you'll have a little, right?
You start with that.
Yeah, sorry.
Is that gonna cost? Because we looked at doing the bike lanes for the thermal paint, and that came back at 100.
Right. So can we defer that to when we get to the striping of throughout the community? Because you'll have an understanding of how much it's going to cost to do the entire community. And I think just incorporating this speed hump to that services or that contract may be minimal in the grand scheme of things.
Because vision and on the logo. So, I've become very aware of, vision issues in this community and people who comes with night vision and what have you. And, anyway, I was trying to look at it from somebody else's perspective and say, well, if no one's having an issue with it, maybe we should. Okay, well, let's wait and see how other people are reacting. I don't want to push something through just because I had something that I thought was.
I agree, it could be an issue, and I like Paul's idea, you paint that special paint on the lines, add that in.
And like,
When will that be, do you know, Paul?
We're going to talk about.
Yeah, so it's on the agenda.
held up in our greater decision about all the reflective paint issue for the rest of the campus. Just seeing this is like a one-shot thing. To me, it seems to just be done if we agree to it, as opposed to waiting till we work out the contract on the greater thing.
Right.
All that
Agree
stuff.
to do it.
Well, yeah, it is only a couple hour job.
What you could see.
One on this side, one on that side, a couple hours, it'll be done.
Yeah, it's all the work coming up for a couple of hours.
That's here.
Well,
I think the white arrows are thermoplastic.
Oh,
I think the
The
white.
current ones that are on the speed hump.
Is the bicycle striping all that part of the striping that can be said? We talked about.
We need to talk about that because it's brand new as of today. And I know I have a lot of questions looking through there, what was for it? It's a lot of money. Do we want to talk about prioritizing it relative to the road work
Right.
that we discussed in our last meeting? I had all that stuff, yeah.
Because I wouldn't even want to consider striking until we get more of our roadways done, especially the belt.
Someone came up to me during the presentation the other day. And I needed to defer it now, so we have a meeting.
Yeah. Okay. So what do we want to do with this one? Do we want to defer for a little bit? Do we want to Okay, let's go see if we can get
If pricing to do just that.
just
That's
define.
my,
Just
that's the
define
project.
capacity on this particular color being which color?
Well,
White.
Has to be white.
Has to be white,
The
but
reflective light.
of the reflective plastic.
I'm just asking for
No, no,
questions
I-
because we talked about a lot of. different-
Yeah, to me, it just seems it should be isolated out as a project,
Do we need a motion?
not dependent on all the other things going on, because there's so much like this.
Can our people do it?
Thermal, no.
I mean, the shape is already there. All you're doing is painting what's already there, so you shouldn't have to get any permits or anything.
That's correct. For us to do it, we could use paint. That wouldn't be a problem.
You don't use it.
No, no, that's a special equipment that we do not possess. Yes.
Okay.
It's installing a thermal paint on both we call those angles.
No,
Yeah.
chevrons. Yeah.
Chevrons.
All in
Okay.
favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Question, can we have those bids by next meeting?
Yes. Yes, that should not be a problem. Yes.
I'll let you leave, check it out, make sure that.
Yes. Yes. We'll double check that as well.
The next one on our list was FPL, but I think we talked about all the different things. Oh, well, not exactly. So the contract's been signed, is,
My understanding, there's a contract with you, Ed, because that was my understanding with Chelsea that contractually everything is in place. It's just a matter of final approval.
I'm not sure that that's a formal contract, but they had to get something back from FPL, and I don't know if they got that. It's all in the works, got approved by the board. Big change was we had to remove the Florida power line, so that should help this year's budget because it come out of next year's budget.
Right.
So,
Which I'll find out from Laura how they did issue that PO that I just showed everyone for the removal, but how that works contractually, I'll have to get more information on that.
the encumbrance.
Right. I would imagine so. I would imagine so.
did we ever find out?
No, FPNL will do all the permitting for that. They will take care of that. Yes, they will take care of that. Yeah, I'm not too sure.
Anything else on FPL? All right. Sidewalk drainage. Did you have some status on that?
Yeah, so we've been addressing any issues that residents are bringing to our attention. And I do need some clarification as far as how we define a project, because it is something that when it's brought to our attention, we'll go out and address it. But we're not seeking anything right now or identifying anything until we get into rainy season. And then it gives us the opportunity to identify more issues so that we could go address. But it is an ongoing project per se, but it's not something that we're dedicating time like right now to deal with that, if that makes sense
Yeah.
to the group. So that's
The guy that asked,
right.
you know, they're perfect. They work great. When are we gonna get some more down there? They said it's like.
We C-Click Fix has been our main source of identification of areas that need these improvements. So that's what we're relying on. But as we get into the heavier rainy season, we'll be able to identify those ourselves as well.
Season. And then we're going to look at the entire community and prioritize across the community. Product. So that's what I was thinking was the project and see if there was somebody who'd like to take the lead. I know you've got product, but would you like to also do the prioritization across the whole community?
I mean, I was concerned about Prado. I don't know. I'm
Well,
not
that's why I was
advocating
asking.
anywhere else.
Why
I know
either?
that in a couple of places in Prado, it's pretty bad.
Yeah,
And I've got two comments, I guess. One is all I would be, you need to use a little, be careful of just responding to
Yeah.
issues that people put in on the online thing. In the past, I can remember one where a guy was complaining because after the rain, water in the valley gutter at the end of his driveway was collecting water and it splashed up on his car every time he would leave. We've got that all over the area. You know. You just can't, because somebody puts in a
Right.
ticket,
Yeah.
there's some subjectivity to, is it really an issue or is it,
Right.
you know,
Right.
and that. The other thing is, I think we gotta be careful about some of the spot fixes because we're all, I mean, how far we go with the spot fixes, because also there's areas where we need to start looking at the wholesale sidewalk replacement because there's so many issues. They've been ground down and they're uneven and don't have drainage, so you got to consider, is it a candidate for a spot fix or should it work into a program to do a whole stretch? You know, because we're already considering, you know, once we do the first stretch of Pelican roadway, that has some bad sidewalk unevenness that would probably need to go in there and just do a big replacement program. So
yeah,
there's probably some that you don't want to go in and do a spot fix if it's going to be, we're going to go in and do the whole sidewalk in the next 2 or 3 years. So
I agree.
Is there
Right, but
Florida Power and Light place, all those street lights, do they affect the sidewalks in any way? Like
it shouldn't. It should not. Yeah.
They could excavate, and
yeah,
we did talk about
yeah,
that,
we did.
that they would make good on it.
Right. Yes, any damages that they cause, they would be responsible for it. But
District engineer did an assessment of all of our roads. Came up with a best to worst and came up with a report on when they should be replaced.
Mhm.
Why aren't we asking them to come up with an assessment just like that for our sidewalks?
Wasn't there reference last month to stepping a little bit away from Tetra Tech and finding there's another, I believe you mentioned another contractor that
Chelsea did, yeah.
Yes.
Chelsea did.
We
Yes.
didn't get the name of the company, just that it was just.
Yeah. that-
yes, CPH, but that was, yes, there's another firm that we could probably pursue if that's the desire of the board or the committee.
That kind of tie into the other issues here, because you write down there, it says working with a different vendor to obtain a more reasonable quote
Yes,
just for the assessment or just for
yes,
looking at signage.
that is correct. So,
It
because,
must have been quite a number then.
yes, it was, and but that's our next topic. So, just going back to the sidewalks, Ed, I think you brought up an excellent point. It could be a slippery slope in the sense of trying to do a whole, yes, no pun intended. When you start doing a wholesale approach, that's why it's difficult for the district to take that wholesale approach without really getting to some really big projects. And I think for right now, and I should back step a little bit. When residents bring those issues up to us, we know they're a safety issue because the accumulation of water on sidewalks, and that's where we feel like it's primary. That should be our first focus. To do the wholesale, it may require an engineering firm, but that would be a daunting task for them to try to achieve, especially when we're trying to deal with water accumulation on sidewalks, unless the sidewalk, of course, has been affected, and it's now sinking and settling.
Okay. I think we might be. I think it's what we're talking about here. I was talking just about once the rainy season comes, it's easy for us to divide and conquer because we've done this before on this team where everyone takes an area and after the next big rain or something, we go out and just survey that one little area and say, okay, we've got some pooling water here. We've got some pooling water here. Let's see what happens next time. And do that for a while and then prioritize across the development for those issues, not the whole, that's what I was suggesting. That's what we were talking about last time versus just every time a resident called up, because we had that in Prado a couple of times. They didn't do my house. Well, yeah, we understand, but we're only going to do 5. We expanded to 7 and we're going to wait.
I'm all for your approach. That would be a good way. That would be an excellent approach to try to tackle this issue. Yeah, and
Is how long after it rains do you wait to survey it to see if it drains?
Yeah, I don't know. That's something we have to-
Yeah, because when the rain's heavy, there's spots that, yeah, the water will be there till it's,
But it's gone,
drainage.
in 24 hours. or so.
Well, that's something we have to determine because that's a really good point. It's going to do that, but there's some spots where if we say we want to do something like that. That's something.
Somebody in the truck's gonna have to be here surveying all this while it's pouring down the rain.
Not wild. Gonna be after, I mean, the whole idea is whatever the residuals were, am I right? Yeah, sure, but not while it's still raining. Am I right?
Well, sort of. I mean, while it's pouring down the rain, you'll see where.
Yeah, but you won't know what's gonna dissipate till it's had, I would say, several hours at least to the system. I mean, it just needs an.
Yeah, I don't know what.
Just in terms of gravity,
In a couple
yeah,
hours, it's not
exactly.
a problem. Shouldn't be a problem.
And if you read the report just this week from the ponds committee, they've done, they're clearing drainages and stuff, all getting prepared. So some of that could have a positive effect on this project as well, because there are sidewalks adjacent to ponds.
Maybe I don't understand what the ponds group was doing, but I thought they meant for the ponds.
Well,
No, I don't know.
Thinking
They
under,
cleaned all the street drains so that
Yeah.
it should be draining, so you shouldn't have a problem where the roadway is backing up onto the sidewalk. And if the roadway is
Not
backing
draining
up
into
onto
the
the
roadway, so I
sidewalk,
was
it's
thinking
not
the other
necessarily
way.
a sidewalk problem,
exactly,
it's a street drain problem.
Drainage.
it's complicated.
Okay, I was thinking about the other way. Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. Okay, so do we like at least the approach that we want to take in terms of, we will do a little study of after it rains, what the appropriate time would be after the rain stops. We would each have a little area of the development we can take a look at and just note where do we see standing water. And if we do that occasionally after a big rain, I don't know how to find a big rain, excuse me. But we would start seeing some trends.
I would
in particular
expect that,
areas.
yeah.
I mean, some areas might just do it one time and never a problem again.
Right.
But I know there's some, I'm back in Toronto. And I walk around.
I'll take care of it.
Yeah, okay. There's some areas that the water will stay there for a week.
Oh, I know the place.
I like that idea.
Does anybody here live in Pistoia? No? All right, I'll do Pistoia too.
Okay, well, let's see if everyone's
No,
agreeing.
Hang on, I want to say one thing.
Yes,
What
sir.
I'm gonna do is get on my card after the rain stops. And we'll write down house numbers.
Okay.
And the house, when I give you a house number, that means it's right in front of that house. That makes sense?
Yeah, and then we could just be consistent. Or,
Notes how long after the
Do
main
we
rain.
want photos?
yes, if I could chime in. If we could have a photo
okay, so
and the house number, yes, absolutely.
between two houses because the
Yeah.
common area, then we can,
I don't know.
if you will write the quick directions on what we should be doing, so we're consistent.
Give it a try.
Well, I can certainly do a Casella, all four Casellas.
Okay.
We
Well,
can do a zero.
okay. But talk
Select-
about it, then I can, so JP's gonna do Prado and Victoria, sorry, Jay. And then Fifi's gonna do four Stellas. Yeah, I can't spell this one big.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Can do zero Solera arena area, I guess.
Lara, Karina, and I missed one.
He said three, Azura,
Oh, just three.
Solera, and
Okay.
Try to get Matarita.
that's a lot.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Okay. Well, I can try. Yeah.
Okay.
How, these pictures,
So we're not covering the whole.
you want them emailed to Paul? Maybe this could be a long.
That's where I feel like C-click fix may be the best option, best approach, because it gives us one location, one photo per location, so that we have that. And then we could start addressing, actually we could prioritize it based upon all those requests.
Document it, submit it, maybe secret fix it, whatever the mechanism is best.
Here.
But I'm serious, I'm proud of you. You could be talking hundreds of things. I mean, I don't know, but it's a lot.
So there's 432 addresses,
411.
whatever it is. Okay, so the point is, are you suggesting that a quarter of them are gonna have flooding in front of their house?
I'd say not quite a quarter, but almost.
That many?
I mean, I walk it every day
Yeah,
and I'm telling you, there's places with water this deep on the sidewalk. The next morning after the rain. So I just don't know that I want to take all those pictures. I mean, I'll figure it out. I mean, if there's only 10 or so, I don't care.
How about if we all think about it?
Well, I'm definitely gonna write everything down.
Okay,
Definitely
well,
gonna.
that's fine, but we need to be consistent across everybody doing these surveys, otherwise we're not gonna be matching up.
Right.
Can't prioritize, so
Well,
maybe what you can do is a little trial run and see what you'll learn.
Yeah,
And bring it back
I'll
next
call
time.
you. Let me do a little bit and then I'll call you and I can discuss.
Yeah, we're not gonna talk.
Yeah.
And to me, if there's that much water the day after rain, those are real issues.
Yeah.
If there's that much water right after the rain, that may not be an issue, but the day after, that's definitely, that's the problem. It's gonna be. And it seems like most of what I've heard in the last year or two, has been a lot of that seems to have.
That's because they're the ones making the noise.
Yeah.
My voice is funny. So,
Figure it out.
okay, so you'll do. Let's understand how we could do it consistently.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah, we'll see.
yes,
Okay. Okay, Friday.
And Madam Chair, so that'll be brought back the next meeting
Yeah.
for discussion, okay?
Fix.
Mhm.
Rather than onesie twosies.
Because it could be another area that's causing the problem.
Yeah.
the other thing, they may have multiple reasons. Some might be because a drain isn't clear, others might be.
That's right.
And so
Very
the
true.
reasons
You gotta
are,
look at all.
so there's gonna be investigation that's involved after these sites are identified. And then a plan. So it's a big deal.
It's huge. This might turn into more than.
Yeah.
For us, you know what I mean? It might be an engineer's project. Let's try it. Let's see how it goes out, just try it a little bit.
Sometimes you don't know to.
Says.
It's clear.
Yeah, it's too much. Next meeting, we can say it's too much. We need to get an engineer to do it.
Okay.
I bet it'll rain before the next meeting.
I hope so. God.
I sure hope so.
Okay. on here. Aviano and Ravenna signage, any status on that?
Yes, so on May 28th, Jay, Gann, Chelsea, myself, and Justin Reck of CPH Corp met, and we kind of went over four issues, one of which was the Aviano Ravenna signage status. The second was the Azura and Cypress Grove. The third was striping on Prado Drive. And then the last one was the issue with the stop signs being on both sides of the road on Pelican Preserve Boulevard. So those were the four items that we discussed on May the 28th with the engineer. They did submit back to us a scope of work and the fees to look at four of these items. Unfortunately, we weren't prepared to present that today, but the cost, I think on average for each of these individual issues came in just a little shy of about $35,000 each. Yes. So we
That's just to look at it.
yes, just to look at it, and so that was we like I said, I'm not prepared today to get into details, but it was something that we were going to add to next month or next meeting agenda.
Does it follow the manual? You know, is it something that is optional to add in, or I don't know. That's a lot just to take a look at that.
So if the committee, just allow these items to come forward next month, and we could get into further details on that and get the committee an opportunity to review those scope of services and fees.
Just decided,
Yeah,
HOA, what signs to put up, and
we did it,
we just did it.
yeah. I remember.
Of course, if they're in Cypress, we can always do a stopgap and put back that in-street sign there until we get a
Okay,
further.
Step back one moment about the private drainage, and this is from my informal notes from our last meeting. We talked about, Chelsea suggested that perhaps overspray of irrigation might be a problem. And JP was going to check with Ameristate, see if that had any validity. Was there any?
None.
Okay,
I've been working with the Meadows every day, watching the water, watching the amount of water.
okay,
That's not an issue right now.
okay.
Can I also pose another scenario where the sod is overgrown and it is so high that it blocks any flow from sidewalks onto the drainage to the road? So we've seen that in a couple instances. So okay.
Question on the Zura cross. To be stand-up signs that
Let's pass this around. This is what was there.
got run over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it got, right. It got run over and we didn't put it back, but I'm just wondering if that would be a cheap, quick, or, maybe solution, to at least put those. I help the pedestrian crosswalk people there. And if it's a cheap fit, could be a cheap. Always be used somewhere else if we decided to do something different down the road.
We should have one in storage.
I
And
was
the other one.
asked,
Yes,
I was asked that during my section.
were you in graphic?
Yeah,
Okay.
well, I mean, I was gonna ask, and
Oh,
I
you're in.
know where
Yeah,
it's signed.
no, back here.
Yeah, I'm parked. But I was gonna address that.
Yeah, I thought one got hit and one got stolen. I thought one got hit and one got stolen.
and not removed. Then the board,
Yeah.
remember this, we voted to remove it. The sanding, because we talked about how it sent a confusing message, just don't drive, because they were slowing down.
Yeah.
And there were no, because you see a stop sign.
Yeah.
And you automatically slow down, and then the guy behind you rear ends you.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Might be an option on the side of putting a, a yield sign, because I've seen them in red pointing down to yield pedestrians. Now, the signs that are there are, according to the manual, the pedestrian head and then the one with pedestrian and arrow down. I tell you, the only problem is that the people going east up where that hill, if they're going the speed limit, it's fine. It's the ones that are going faster. Rich can attest to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, let's, now if we can.
Yeah.
Process.
Okay, terrific. Let's see, we talked about striping, I guess. So I think we're done with all of your status, Paul, correct?
With exception of the preserve.
Oh,
Yes, if I could go back to the preserve. So there was issues with visibility at the preserve with the mirrors. So our team, our gateway team, will be out on Monday to trim, trees or palm limbs that are blocking those mirrors. We are going to add one additional mirror and post because there was a particular blind spot that was brought to our attention. We are also going to add chevron, orange and I believe gray tape to the post so people can see that they're coming, upon a mirror station, that they'll be able to see the blind spots. So we would like to at least attempt that first approach to see if that improves the visibility issues there in the preserve. And but
Oh, wait a minute.
no, that was our intent, but I mean, if the committee would like to take a motion. Right. Right. And then, yeah, just to clarify, we felt that this is more of a maintenance issue than an actual, we're not introducing a new project or incurring a major capital expense. This is something that we do day to day. So, okay, just to clarify. Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Rick?
Oh, striping on Prado, the roundabout.
That is one of the 4 items that the CPH Corp provided us, and it'll be, like I said, next month agenda with the full details of the scope of work and the fee that goes with it.
Okay, roundabout at Prado Pistoia, 2 lanes coming down, and then it's got a right turn lane.
Right.
The pavers around there are 24, 25 feet. Technically, it's wide enough, but it's tight. The white lane that's stopping. The one down at Cypress and Prado is to go to Arena, it's got a separate right-hand lane. And then you've got enough room
Yeah.
for the one lane, and it's marked to go around the roundabout. So you're not close together. So it's just kind of tight there.
It's.
Yeah, if 2 cars are going at the same time, one's going in the other, it's tight.
I always look at.
Me too. So I'm sure we'll talk about options on it, either 4, just merge it to 1 lane and signs. But I don't think we want to put a capital expense to expand. And to tear out the sidewalk now. Yeah, okay. Then merge to 1 lane.
So we
That's
talking
next
about restriping that area, or we're gonna talk about that later?
Part of the.
Scope of work per task. Yes. Yes. Yes.
So, back and forth, I didn't know that she agreed.
Yeah, yeah.
What I had submitted, but talking,
Yeah.
So,
We can work it.
first item, we do not have an incident report, yet been published in regards to the kids that are riding bikes across the streets, across the golf course and so on. So that's follow up for me. Right. Um,
So it was mentioned at a board of supervisors meeting that they know who all the kids are.
yeah, they have pictures and the cops know who they are, and yeah. They've escaped a couple times when they trapped them at Walmart and somewhere else. But I got away, you know, logs that were with logs.
So I think everything's in the hand of the,
PD,
the sheriff,
for the sheriff, PD, sheriff,
maybe both,
maybe, because I know, people do it.
because I think we submitted everything. We being Gateway submitted everything to the police departments, and now it's up to them
Got it,
to.
yeah, because there's definitely a.
And I believe we also have fixed all the damage,
Yes.
and we have the invoice now for that. So we can add that to the,
That was the incident over in Gateway.
We have damage.
yes,
From the kids on bikes. Oh, yeah.
somebody jumped over the, well, somehow got on our property
Yeah.
over by the back gate.
I
I
see
didn't know there was
picture,
damage.
I think
And
they
they
came
went-
from you all, someone
going
else put
down.
pictures.
Well, that I know, but I didn't know there was damage.
There was damage.
Yeah.
But if my memory is correct, about $16,000.
Wow.
And supposedly the family has, the family or families have said they would like to take care of it, but no one has seen any money. So,
So I'll still follow.
Mhm.
Okay, so. I mentioned last time, I believe, that one of our sergeants, who was doing a tour of 4 hours here per contract, two ladies in a golf cart approached the officer from behind while he was engaged in a traffic stop. And he was concerned in these days and age. He wasn't really concerned about his development. But they were complaining as they were walking up behind him why he thought it was so important to be stopping somebody. So they were totally out of line. He completed his stop and approached them and gave them a verbal warning. He did not write it up, though he threatened them to. But he wanted to educate. The policing policy is that education, and so he approached it really well. And if you know this officer, he's extraordinary. It's a sergeant. We have two sergeants that do here, and there's a lieutenant that's going to come here. So we got a pretty representation of that goes. So with that point, Randy wrote an email based on some research that he did, and I submitted it to Georgia, and don't know where it's gone because I asked if they would approve of him writing a formal email. Further suggestion, they want to distribute it not only in Gateway, but in Pelican Reserve. Because they think that's a significant situation. Just real quickly, assess the situation and it's going to really interfere. Visible, there's a description. Be respectful and direct. There's a description. Approach calmly and maintain a calm and courteous demeanor. Description, follow instructions of the officer and prior safety. So I'm asking Paul if you can advise, assist, that's something that I just asked Randy if he can do, or do I need to go through an official process?
I think it's just asking Randy to just to put out.
Very helpful.
Mhm.
Okay, I will do that.
Supports.
Randy, he is the, he is the public relations, he's got an official title, it's community relations and communications director.
Yeah, he's our PIO.
Right here, Gateway.
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 Yeah.
And by the way, I did have, further conversation with, the sergeant, and he was very pleased that we were doing this because, you know, this quote unquote, they tell me all the time, it's the safest development of all the developments around. But yes, we're going to step down anytime we find a new level and address it, and this is one. So that's, where we stand on that.
Before you go on,
Yes.
a comment / question. As this community still is not, in my observation, don't know who Gateway is, certainly don't want to listen to anybody from Gateway. Also get on the desk of the Pelican Reserve Community Association so
Oh,
that
yeah.
something could come out similarly.
Well, I'm glad you asked,
Yes.
because I have it in my notes to mention, but now it's good as ever.
Yeah.
In my correspondence throughout all my notes that I'm gonna share with you, I had a nice meeting with Faye.
Good.
Faye was overwhelmingly supportive.
Yes.
Apparently, it's not an unusual practice that Gateway and PPCA, you communicate together. And the example was not too long ago, I got it somewhere, it's right here, where in December they had put out a joint email about community speed limits and rules for the road. So this was a joint effort, but she was very much, come up, I'm glad you asked. I approached her and first she really approached her anyway. We
Yeah.
have a brief meeting over. So, okay, next. I've made, about, let me back up. I'm gonna go down my list, because they're kind of, it's like an order.
Could you just say which subject you're doing so I know what?
That's what I'm gonna,
Yeah.
well, I'm going
Okay.
from my notes.
Yeah,
Just tell me the name of the subject.
Okay, the subject matter is, okay. Oh, that's right, I know you're writing on this.
Yeah.
The subject matter is, we discussed last time about having some more officers, if there was capacity. Fort Myers Police Department does have capacity, because this is a volunteer thing, they don't assign these to the officer. They put out a list and say, you know, we got 6 openings, and they sign up, and we always have to fill them. So we talked last time about asking an increase. We didn't set a number. So I went to my contact, Officer Gruber, and asked him to run it by the power B, because he had the power, actually the capacity that had 2 more officers on there. And he believed that was not an issue. It's a volunteer thing, we pay. So it comes back to, do we have the budget money to pay 2 more visits? At $80 a pop. Yes, yeah, per month, yeah, thank you. Per month. I was actually suggested by the committee last time around the general conversation, so I guess I'm officially asking for that consideration. And then I'll go back to him and confirm that we have approved the budget,
$80 an hour.
an hour,
An hour.
and they're here for
Just want to be clear. It's not $80 for 4-hour shift.
correct, am I no?
It's an overtime detail.
Sheriff's Office or the Fort Myers Police?
This is the Fort Myers Police Department.
Okay, thank you.
Historically, you guys haven't spent your budget in that $12,000, whatever, it's small budget, but historically you haven't spent it because a lot of months they don't,
Yeah, that
they were always.
That's X.
Right,
Yeah.
So-
Okay.
but it's,
Got this. Yeah, I think it might have something to do that about the hell out of Dr. Gruber and ask him questions, and some things he can answer, can't answer, but he's pretty.
It's well under budget for another area. So
Yeah.
We can afford it, that's what he said.
What do you think? Any comments?
you could double it and it wouldn't affect it.
Okay, so our budget is 10,500. We've already spent $6,004, right?
Well, this year we are gonna run because they increased the rate. It was before, I think might have been before you got on to the.
Okay, right.
And I think what we did for next year, if I recall correctly, is we don't know how much they're gonna up it, but we upped the budget a little bit.
Right.
To take into account the fact that no doubt the hourly rate will go up again.
And when we go through the list of the author doesn't still have a more enthusiastic.
But if you look at your security other,
Yeah.
Right,
you're under $30,000.
Yeah, look, you've got,
So
yeah, oh, yeah.
and
We'd be able to.
still be fine.
So we just need a motion to approve
right.
320, 640.
How,
With two more visits a month. Two
Make a
more
motion
hours.
to authorize, for us to authorize two more, what do you call them, police?
Yeah, traffic enforcement.
Traffic enforcement. Per month.
Do I hear a second?
Well, how much is the total money on that?
60.
Enforcement.
Is it 320 or 640?
I mean,
Is it $8 for both?
580 for two
Per
visits.
hour, 8 times 4.
It's 32, so $320 a pop.
Yeah, so 64.
So that's $600.
292 for one, for 4 visits. But, yeah, 292. But they send me more than one invoice a month sometimes, so I don't want to say that's what it is or not.
So we're
Well,
looking at $640 a month more.
yeah,
That's what we have the money for that.
Yeah.
That was just the number someone suggested last week, that's all I asked for.
I think when Rich explains what was it, 50, the citations,
It's like.
maybe they'll understand. It should be on the
When
agenda.
this is open for real discussion after the motion might be approved, I read the report of how many people they stopped, how many things they issued. Quite frankly, I think it's totally ineffective. What good is it to stop these people and give a verbal warning? And I bet you it's the same car the next time. It just seems to me that, and then people go on Facebook and say, watch out, I saw the guy hiding behind the Karina monument, you
Well,
know.
I will make one comment to that effect. I have an email to Gruber about change in rotation and posts and dividing the day and PM. So I'm jumping to another line item,
Okay.
but that's okay.
That's what we talked about last time, yes. we did.
Yeah, and so not only AM, PM locations, but we have focused down on where the highest incidences of the stop
We
were.
didn't need the traffic.
That's Trias, Benito, Conserve, Cypress Grove, Korean and Matarita, Annabella and Sevilla Drive. So we're gonna kind of narrow down our focus on those. And also, I did make a statement in my email to him. And yes, in conversation with our committee, we do not oppose to being a little more aggressive in your stations and the like. If y'all were at the study at the meeting yesterday, where presented at the police department.
I was
presented.
there.
Yeah, maybe. But I didn't know who else was.
Yeah.
Because I was up front. We were sitting next to me. So at any rate, they, and I'm in the academy, so they have a very strong culture in public policing. And they're all about education. It's amazing that the population has grown and the crime and offenses are going down. So their public policing have been working. And so they're really into this communication, giving you a verbal warning. Because they have this all recorded. I have agreed for it. And so if they have the same person show up a second time, they're gonna get beaten. So, but I'm not arguing with you because the thing can. So, okay, so that's communication with them. So do we have a motion?
Do we have a motion on the floor?
I'll make a motion.
I'll say.
Okay. Any other discussion before we vote? Okay, all in favor, say aye. All opposed?
Awesome, thank you very much. No. Okay, there was a complaint, actually, I don't remember somebody that was riding their bike or crossing right at, Azura, across the pedestrian. Someone, said they
I
were
was in the
supposed to.
preserve.
Huh?
I was in the preserve when I got one.
Oh, okay, well, there's another one.
That's where the mirrors go.
Okay. Well, there was somebody walking across, walking their bike, in one case, riding their bike across the pedestrian crosswalk at the entrance of Missouri.
Yeah.
And so I went out to look at it and, I was right off the bat taken back that when you turn turn left off the boulevard on Cypress, that as you're going around this little S curve, you cannot see that pedestrian walk until you're almost immediately upon it at 25 miles an hour. What is it, 30?
Mhm.
And so if there was somebody in front of you, there would be a immediate reaction or a squeak or a sudden stop and whatever. So I called River and said, hey, what's the chance of getting your traffic guy out here? So they sent out Sergeant Brown and didn't call him Daddy. Sergeant Brown, he is the traffic guy. And we came to several conclusions. One is he agrees that it's blind. And so we talked about the signs. There's 2 posted signs on the crosswalk. And his recommendation was putting up the flashing lights on those 2 signs. The second of the 2 signs is right at the crosswalk. So I kind of wish it was a little bit sooner, but his recommendation to consider, because of the cost. And talk a little bit about this. You want to have some 2 cents first?
Yes, because I think Jay, we had spoke about this as well regarding and see if I could pull up a couple examples here. Is this the sign that you're referring to? Yeah, that's 1 of 2. So
Right. Here with an arrow.
right,
Yeah.
right, and then this is the sign with the light, just to kind of give everybody a point of reference.
Just a point, go back to that.
That's at the top of the hill.
Just for everybody's
Pass
knowledge,
this
if you're
around.
gonna, if you're gonna do something, you need to fix that one because half the
Yeah.
LEDs are out on that one.
Yes, that's the I don't know why it keeps on popping out.
Oh, this could be part of our discussion next month. When they bring the proposals.
Right.
I was gonna say, I thought we needed a study and then we have to go through Fort Myers and not through the police
I
department.
don't know about a sign, but I know that changing any speed limits gotta be a study. I don't know
And
about signs.
right, and if I could ask a question for clarification, because when I asked the team about the LED lights on this particular sign, what is the history? Who installed the lights to this particular sign? Because we don't seem to have a knowledge regarding that, or is EPAC? Okay.
That's in their group.
Yeah.
Maybe it's got a motion detector on it so that when it's a car, it starts
Mhm.
flashing.
Yeah, but it doesn't work.
But half the LEDs are lit out on that one.
So Gateway CDD will be responsible for maintaining this, and so I'll put a work order to address the lights that are out.
I mean, that would be the same thing that you would probably put on the crosswalk. This would be something.
Are we talking about flashing lights? Are you talking about a rectangular rapid flashing beacons at the second one? The one right by the crosswalk?
I would think,
Or, I don't know what he was
I
talking.
would say, well, he wanted to get there. Our conversation was, because they have limits on what they can recommend.
Sure.
When they give tonight, so whatever. Definitely, both, we recommended to have lighting. The second one that's right at the crosswalk should be really like larger effect, more effective, more like whatever. Because when you drive by it today, now thinking of our conversation, and you will be upon that path, that crosswalk when you arrive at that sign. By the way, these pictures are great, and there's one picture's in here I'm gonna use.
Yeah, I took them from the ground up.
That was great. That's.
And the real problem is we walking from the park north to Azura.
Right.
Because you get about halfway and there's all the foliage right in the way. Drivers coming over, if you're walking a dog across. Anyway, like I had a complaint. They were walking from the north side out to the center and started walking to the Azura Street. And a car way too fast came over the hill and put up their hands and so they really had to stop quickly. So I'm sure that's what part of that, what he saw there was.
Yeah.
Fine, some kind of recognition.
Yeah.
To make sure.
So that goes back to a sign. He remembered that there used to be that little sign in that dividing line between the two lanes.
Mhm.
He was just curious whatever happened to it. And I found out, no, I said, it just disappeared.
I think right around the time I was coming on the committee, there was some emotion or a thought since one was damaged and didn't think there was a problem. Just put the other one, just put it in storage and not worry about it.
One got run over.
Yeah.
And then they removed the second one.
I remember, yeah, and we voted to remove it. And that's the one we don't know where it's stored.
Well, starting with the lights would be a great start. Then the second point was we need some other signage. Because when I first got here, it was there. Well, I can't remember he, but it was there for just last year. It caught my attention. When I started sitting in the center of the road. And what was interesting is that when you came around that little left part of the it almost looked like it was in the left lane. But when your car centered to just take that little curve, just amazing, then all of a sudden it was in the lane. It was on the lane line. So,
Well, this is, let me see. Oh, okay, so this is one where we're gonna get some well, they were gonna go do the study, not the feedback on what we should do.
Right. So I need some direction. Do we defer this to next meeting when we talk about the scope of work, or is this something that the committee would like for us to maybe look into now, putting the lights on both CPH?
okay.
Yes, and yes, that is Justin. That is correct. Yes. Right.
We have to find out what's allowed.
Right.
For,
Okay, cool.
Okay. So we'll defer this if there's no objection.
There's a golf cart.
It might be worth reaching out to the sign vendor signs to see what it would cost to add lighting to it just for the next meeting. No,
I'll follow up on that. Absolutely.
Some of those rectangular ones are solar too.
Yeah.
And, it's. Well, I'm gonna talk about golf carts and. And I'll bring.
Yeah.
And I. So we're standing at an intersection and this cart comes right blasting out up in the corner and starts crossing the street. Not even in the crosswalk, just like across the street. And they're waiting to us and looking at the cop and he goes, what? So I called Jeremy and Jeremy, I said, why are you calling Jeremy golfing? Sorry.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay.
And he goes, oh my gosh, he goes, I have written 100 emails over the last number of years. And then I got some more history. Before Prado and before Zerla, this is where they cross the carts to get from Ivis back in the front line back to 9. And he goes, then we installed the crosswalk down the street. And we've been sending out emails. And a lot of people have been here for a long period of time. They are in a habit crossing there. The sergeant was concerned about that safety issue. And I laid it on Jeremy again that, maybe we need to put out another note. But also, we might want to do a correspondence as well, just generally to the community. I'll talk to Jeremy
Well,
about that.
You can go out Missouri, it comes around right there.
Yeah.
I mean, stop, this gets talked about every year.
Yeah.
And part of the problem is down, if you cross at the pump house,
Right.
as you come up there, there's foliage and everything that blocks the vision of the cars coming from Pelican.
And the side.
And stuff there. So people got in the habit of just crossing and going down. And that part of it's because of that vision problem down where it's supposed to.
And there's limbs hanging out over the sign for that golf crosswalk.
Yes, and I did forward that to Mark Eversman to see if Ameriscape could address those overhanging limbs on that tree. A spreadsheet. So every time
Can
I
just make a quick suggestion?
want to defer.
Because of the time, well, no, I mean, people have an opportunity to look through this, so, does anyone, or you should have had an opportunity to look through, does anyone have any questions or comments about it? Versus like
I'm fine
going
with it.
through it, or,
Can we post it?
Yeah, it's on the.
There it is.
Okay.
Sorry.
And by the way, yes, by design, we do not list the officer and or his or her badge number. And actually, I don't even want the dates on it, but I asked them to remove it, but this is public information and.
Yes.
Almost all of them, or a lot of them are Benito and Pelican. Probably not full stop, rolling stops,
Yeah. Yeah.
and Cypress and Pelican, same
Yeah,
thing.
and
Rolling
these,
stops.
4 or 5 locations, Karina and Margarita, they have a bundle there, as you see. We might sort it any way you might want, so if you want to sort, if you want to look at it, you can always let me know, sort it for you. I think I'm done, feedback, PC president, so. She didn't say something here I'm supposed to say. Oh, monitoring devices are back. They are repaired. They work. I'm just gonna, unless you tell me otherwise, I'm just gonna start figuring out different places to pick them up. And
Is that the one that reads the speed limit?
Yeah, that's the, yeah, oh yeah, you didn't see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had it at Plaza and Vietnam. Problem is that's a 15-mile-an-hour zone. It's never gonna change. The police aren't gonna deal with it. They can't even go up there. They can't even do traffic stops and so on. They can't do anything. That's the same with Siena. And Vietnam up to Palazzo. And where's another street?
That's it.
They're going to.
Mhm.
So they don't even go up there now. What they will do is they'll be at the bottom of the bridge where. So they'll come out because there's a lot of violations there, but they haven't been spotting it lately. And
And one other question, I was on my list, but I'm not sure if it made it on anybody's list. And that is, incident reports. Rover reports, are they getting distributed from Monster?
oh
Yeah,
no,
no, you don't have to.
I did not get any road reports. I got one when they were first told to start doing them. I've never seen them again. However, I think I'm getting the incident reports. I have 3. And,
Okay.
you know, I haven't seen them. I think we already know about them.
Yeah, maybe, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna try to.
Nope,
gauge
that's
it.
fine.
Could you work with them and make sure they're getting distributed to everybody that's either in the postal, well, they should all be in the post order.
Okay.
Okay,
Will do.
right, thank you, because I know that, I was pretty sure the answer is it's not being,
Actually, they're supposed to be distributing.
exactly, so that's why I wanted to throw you in a. Okay, sorry to keep things moving here, but.
Thanks so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Sure. And then we've already talked about pressure cleaning, so we're gonna skip the pressure or move on from the pressure cleaning. Okay, let's see, fiscal year 26 budget discussion. How's that?
That's just for information.
Yeah. Anybody have any questions? This is what's. Oh, so it shouldn't be, I don't know that it's even different from anything we've seen before or talked about before.
Roads.
About the roads?
You know, if we're gonna want to do the first part of Pelican Preserve roadway.
Oh,
next
that's
year.
gonna come, that's gonna come out.
There it is.
Yes, that's the capital. I'm sorry. I had to go to the next page.
Make sure.
Any questions, comments? Okay, fantastic. We talked about FPL, so, thermoplastic versus paint road markings, cost and durability comparison discussion.
Okay, let me pull this up.
Can I just interrupt for a second? Can we just look at the, all the items that we have left on here and decide which ones we want to talk about? Because I think we're gonna end up having to defer a few. So we have the C, D, E, F, and G. Which ones actually need to be discussed today? I don't know. A lot of them you, either Gateway submitted.
I think they want you to review the schedule from the 26th, so
Okay,
Yes, G's definitely has to be reviewed.
okay, so we'll do that first. Anything else that absolutely needs to?
No, I mean, E, we could defer unless there's something that's pressing that the committee would like to address now. Okay,
Something that I think you guys are bringing to us. I think it's something that we.
we were receiving requests from the community regarding that, yes.
Okay, so let's talk about, jump right down to G and do G, and then we can just go back up to C and just go until we run out of time. Is that okay with people? All right, I just wanted to make sure we were getting the most pressing things done first. Okay. So if we jump back to at the last, it is the last thing. We have the proposed schedule for 2026. It pretty much is what we've been doing. except for November and December, which we've always said we're not gonna do because of days, et cetera. Are people okay with this schedule?
Everybody should have a copy of it.
Any problems with it? All right, then why don't we just say it's good? And I will try to work to see if I can't get rooms for it. Last year I was able to get the whole year, but this year the policies changed. So let me see what I can do, and then I'll just keep working. You know, if it's 3 months and every month I'll go give them the next form.
Okay.
See what I can do.
I would take that above, okay, if that's a problem. This is a significant, for this,
But we've almost gotten bumped a couple times because we didn't
well,
until, yeah,
I would take it over ahead.
yeah, okay. Let's see. Meeting rooms, okay. So let's go back up to C, and we'll just keep going until about 5 up, so that we can have, because we do want to talk about next meeting, et cetera. Well, let's see. Okay,
Let's talk about that first.
Okay, so C, so we did reach out to 4 vendors to give us a quote for restriping Pelican Preserve. And let me see if I could just pull that up. So this is the summary of it. And what we did is that, so the vendors list was 1-800-Striper, DG Pavement Solutions, Southern Striping, McShay Contracting. Only 2 submitted quotes, and we did ask for 3 different options. Option 1 was to do all thermal striping throughout the entire community. So DG Pavement provided a quote of $160,000 at $22.50. 1-800-Striper provided a quote of $127,000 even. The second option was just to do straight paint, which to my understanding, that's the current situation in the community. That all the roads, markings and painting, it's just regular paint. It's not thermoplastic. And these are the, that's my understanding. I could be wrong. But DG provided as a second quote, and we did ask for 3 different options to get a different pricing for budget wise. So DG Pavement provided a quote of $73,370, and then 1-800-Striper came in at $35,000. Option 3 was to do thermal for the collectors, and then go with the option of paint for the community. So this will kind of show you what we mean by collectors, what's highlighted in red, and we did exclude the portion of the mill and resurface that we're planning for next year. So we're not including that in this quote, but we did include the rest of Pelican and these 2 additional areas here. Those are the collectors. Those would be the one in option 3 that would get the thermal because they had the high traffic area. And then all the remaining roads within the community of Pelican would get paint. And that's why, so based upon that criteria, that option, these were the pricing. $142,924 from DG, and then $98,300 from 1-800-Striper. It does, no, there's no sense in restriping given the fact that we're going to do the mill and resurface next year. So there's no sense in paying to do that, and then just to, yeah, so. I do not.
That years ago, I think you did it. I mean, the expectation was that it might have to be paid every 3 years. What was the low bidder? And I was pretty dissatisfied with the paint job because it was not very thick. You could still see the pavement under the paint. So to me, they put on a very light coat for the low bid. And it's kind of hasn't lasted very, very long. So that's a challenge with the low bid.
Did they guarantee a 3-year life?
Hell no.
Okay, just
But that was
We had to tighten up the scope.
discussion,
work on it
You know,
for the bid.
Dean felt it, you know, it's probably something should have lasted at least 3 years. I guess one of the questions I had, I mean, when you look at the other neighborhood roads, it's really just the crosswalks and the stop bars, so there's not in striping.
Mhm.
When they're, if they do this, would they be doing the striping for the design for the bike lane?
For bike lane.
We have had a proposal to do restriping and signing for the bike lane to meet city, and the city approved that design on the boulevard. So I guess I wonder, would this be done in accordance with that approved bike lane striping design?
I'll have to verify that. So your question is, does this include the bike lanes as well, or
It would, I mean,
this is all encompassing all road
right,
markings and
it's just, there were some changes that were prior to the existing bike lane striping, multi-purpose lane striping to make it to meet the city's bike lane requirements. Some of it is, it's a solid white line right now.
right?
As you come up to an intersection, I think it has to be black and white type of thing. So
Right.
I guess with things, I would want to make sure that whatever we do on the boulevards conforms to that bike lane, the approved bike lane design, striking for the bike lane that was approved by the city. And that was a bid of over $100,000 to restripe everything with thermoplastic just for the bike lane,
Just for the bike lane.
just for the bike lane.
It's
Not quite finalized on whether or not we're gonna do bike lanes later after the
Yeah, we said.
after the road construction. We still have not finalized that we will. I just want to clarify.
No, but if we're
But
going
in
to
case we might,
if we're going to be
I get it.
if we're going to be restriping, we might as well restripe it to conform to the bike lane.
So we don't do this year, which I don't recommend.
And we didn't want to.
Next year after
after
Pelican.
Striping anyway.
First section's done. We need the bid for the whole thing, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised. I just saw the bid and I thought that was, well, if we're gonna do everything.
Catalyst for that.
But you're saying-
The catalyst,
We're waiting
the
until.
catalyst is when you look in the neighborhoods, all the crosswalks and all the stop bars are basically non-existent.
that is correct.
And when you look at problems with that, the
Okay,
current
this
stripe
was
needs
just-
to be restriped.
Bringing all of that together.
So it's kind of bringing it all together and you know, and then you have this,
and
the cost of the bike lane,
No, I
you
understand.
know, and, but if you bring it all to, we're at the point where in a year, at least in a year, you're gonna have to repaint anyway, if every 3 years, so.
Right.
I wouldn't consider doing striping this year.
Yeah.
But that's good to get us an idea on what
Yeah.
the bids, what kind of money we're looking at.
I mean, like even in Matarita, it's bad.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
And this would get us back to whole and be able to move forward, but
and personally, I like the idea of the thermal, especially in the neighborhood. My only concern is, you know, maybe some of the old Pelican neighborhoods, because we're probably gonna be resurfacing them in the next 5 years. But again, you're only talking about the crosswalk and the start bar, so,
Mhm.
right.
and maybe you just, you know, it would cost a little more, but maybe you do this doesn't include the first part of Pelican that we're gonna do next year. But maybe if you wait, just do the whole, after that's done, and including you know,
At the time that the Pelican mill and resurface.
include that and the rest of the neighborhood, just get it all done in next year.
Mhm. With the exception of any, I apologize, with the exception of any roads that are, the road that we're going to mill and resurface the following year, we probably would exclude, or we just do it all.
Oh, sure. I think
That's-
it'd be like, look at this.
Right. Yeah.
See how.
Okay. Right. It's not a lot. Just want to clarify, but yes, it's a good point.
Yeah, if you knew which one, at the time, you might be able to leave a couple of them off, but it's not gonna affect the price that
Mhm.
much. So.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Exactly. Okay. So what I'm hearing is we're going to,
Big difference in price
well,
the low bid
and-
kind of bothers me.
Yeah, I didn't see that page.
and I think that's a great point, because with DG pavement, they did speculate, or they did specify that they would go to FDOT standard or DOT standards, which we know wouldn't be an issue. So, and my apologies, we haven't really vetted these quotes. These were just received within a week. So I just wanted to share the information. So to try to get some direction from the committee. But just these are good preliminary numbers just for everyone's information.
I mean, there's a question where we
This, whatever we decide here, is that gonna be in next year's budget?
It's
That's
currently not in next year. It's currently not in next year's budget, but PPAC's got reserves, and PPAC still has to figure out if we're gonna use some of those reserves to reduce the assessment for next year or not, and that. But you also have, we've kind of worked into next year's budget, gate replacement, I think, gate on
Yeah.
replacement.
Yeah.
We talked about that.
But that should be in next year's budget, but I think we could make the case to PPAC that, especially if we're gonna have to do a significant amount of this when we redo the Pelican Boulevard anyway, and there's enough issues around the neighborhood. It's just
Right.
on the budget, use some of the reserves to cover it.
They're
I
saying
don't-
now
I
it's
can't
not,
speak for the whole committee,
but we
Right.
could add it next year, maybe.
So just to clarify, is this something that needs to go back to PPAC for clarification, for maybe just putting some of these funds aside, or?
you guys need to figure out.
Thermal would be, right. Thermal would be your long lasting, approach.
You're saying, you think it's all paint right now in the neighborhood?
That was what I was, my understanding, but like I said, I could be wrong, but
See, it costs just to do the boulevard. That's 35 for all.
it's, yes. So that again, we would have to vet this furthermore, but
Yeah.
And here's specifically what we're proposing, the scope of it, basically.
okay. And that's including the bike lane, that making sure that the changes to per city specification, that's included in these quotes.
I'm in favor of having it in our budget, not just waiting to see if somebody will give us.
So,
Yeah.
Let's do it. Yeah,
we haven't got the bids yet for what Pelican
yeah.
roadway would be with everything yet for next year.
Okay.
Well, you see, depending on what, you've got 400,000 in your budget for Pelican. That was up from 300 to 400, just to add in the striping and any repair to the curb and gutters. So there may
Okay.
be some in that when we go out for bids. Pelican.
And
That
it,
would be issue. Go out
Right.
and you just do for the middle and grind, and then use the striping separate as part of part of the whole package here, or do you do the,
More information about.
yeah.
Right, and just to also, just for the committee's information, so we did fix a couple of the potholes in the entryway from Tree Line onto Pelican Preserve. Yes, they're temporary because we didn't want to do a permanent fix because we knew that the mill and resurface project was for next fiscal year. But we did discover that we thought the line of responsibility ended at the bull nose there at that entryway, but it goes further out closer to Tree Line. So there's an additional area that the mill and resurfacing will have to cover because the county deems it the responsibility of the community to deal with that. Because we did try to get the county to fix those potholes, but they refused. Okay.
First, turn on Falcon.
Yes, on the entry and the exit out to Tree Line. Yes, we did patch. Yes, we did
So
put a coal patch.
responsibility is probably close to where the crosswalk line.
Yes, that is correct. It goes a little further out. Just kind of want to share that with everyone. Okay, so we'll bring this back for further consideration next meeting.
Didn't see that one, the 800 DG.
Yes, we just got it recently, so we'll include everything next month. Yes. So the existing camera system is proprietary to the new IQ system. And so it's we were wanting to replace it with a higher quality camera system, plus the memory, what gets stored is very limited. So we want to expand that. And in addition to, just to have more, it's so many days, we want to be able to go back and retrieve video from maybe 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I think it was like a 30-day.
Where did the submittal come from? I mean,
We just added a camera there to improve last year, or within the last year.
And then we also got some feedback from this Wiser that there was a blind spot that they wanted to add an additional camera as well. So that was the catalyst of there is as you're exiting, there's that lane that they do not have a camera to see who's entering or who's approaching that the overhang on the exit lane out of the community.
The other issue is a whole new camera system. And I guess I don't understand what the problem is with trying to solve. I understand what you're saying and what it says here in terms of the coverage. Okay, so the coverage is one issue.
Mhm.
But in terms of, I think it was 28 days to take to good for something like this, and it cycles around, is that a problem? I mean, have we had any issue?
Sounds like this, then you have two camera systems. Right now, the community association camera is down at the storage lot and everything feed into this, I believe. Same
They all
system
see it
I
on
was
the
reading.
screen, so I guess it must. Yeah, that's the point. But my big question is why?
I agree.
If there, what's the problem we're trying to solve? And I understand 28 days or whatever the magic number is, but has that been a problem? And I think that doesn't mean anything.
was it the Wiser mentioning of a blind spot that prompted?
I think it was the limitations of how many days of storage was one of the issues. Wiser mentioning that there was a blind spot. The video quality, it's not to standard or not to what's available right now with technology, and those were the reasons why that I know of. There could be more. I do apologize.
They don't go Facebook. Yeah, because Laura does it.
Yes, Laura does it.
I would suggest that somebody on this committee sign the, do a deep dive into this and understand the issue a little bit more rather than.
This up. Yeah, we'll just-
I nominate you.
Where did this come up? Because they were concerned about blind spots. I mean, where did it, how did this evolve?
Conversation or a phone call?
The other thing is to try to put a camera by the emergency exit on the back. And yes, which
That was the catalyst, that suggestion, was
Mhm.
put on the bike in.
but that's a separate issue though too. Because there's a little more complexity with that, as far as getting power and also it would have to be on a cellular type of service to be able to provide, those recordings. I think that's where we're trying to approach,
Yeah.
but
That's their emergency exit gate that they control. So
Yeah.
Oh,
All right, so.
that-
But
know that
that's the community though. Anyways, okay, so,
Okay, so if you could find out a little bit more, you understand what the concerns are in terms of,
well,
Okay.
the blind spot, the upgrade needs.
yeah, why do they
State,
need the upgrade?
why do they need the
And
upgrade?
if it's because you have like, or
Yeah.
how often is that a problem?
Do you know when that was installed?
Oh, 3 years ago, maybe?
All 3 years? not-
yes, sir.
Regarding that back gate,
Okay.
I understood that, my understanding that the guys on the e-bikes, they went from the golf course down the emergency access road, because there's no fence across
Mhm.
that part of it. But it's all fenced and gated where you have the other gate at the other end, but supposedly they got out down there. How did they get out?
They broke the fence. I know they cut into not only our fence, but the waste management barbed wire fence too. So yes, they cut it. Yes, the barbed wire they to cut it, which waste management went back and did make the repairs to that. Yeah. Right. So does the committee want to defer this, or Rich will? Yes, Rich will get more information. Okay, thank you. I
That's fine. I'll find out.
My concern also is we need to talk about the front gate first, and I sent something to Paul this morning because he's new, he might not have known that to follow up on what's going on with the close to the front gate, because that's the end of technology, end of life, and tuning up the wires up there.
Yeah, somebody picture.
So, anyway, okay, I think we're almost out of time here because we need to just talk about the next agenda and who may or may not be here for the next meeting. Okay, anybody not? As always, if you're not here, or if you find out you're not going to be able to be here, please let Georgia know because he does keep track so that we can make sure. I will send something to her to have these items D through G for next meeting.
I just,
that board.
Paul, on the painting of the flowway and the bridges.
Yeah.
Is, personally, I don't like the idea of putting paint on that stuff because it's just an ongoing maintenance thing. But like the flowway there, could that just be, could our guys just power wash that and see what it, because that's not been just bare concrete.
Yes, we could pressure wash that. And let me condition that because the challenges with this these structures is that we have to work on the water. So, I mean, on the actual lakes here, which would be a challenge for us. I mean, we could pressure wash from land, but I'm not sure how good of a job we'll do because we don't have the equipment. Yeah. So, right, so that's,
Table.
Yeah,
It's
the
not,
pictures,
because we deferred it
it's
to the
aesthetics.
next meeting.
Okay,
Some of
fine.
right.
Yeah.
So we could defer, but right. So I want to make sure that, we address all the requests that we received from the district, but we did receive a couple of requests regarding not only the flowways was one, but the second one was the bridge, which is entirely different, complex. I mean, both would be complex for us. We just don't have the equipment to be able to do these type of things, but. So, okay, so we'll defer that.
All right, anything else?
Just very briefly, I'd like to know if the time I spend on doing these informal notes is worth it. I checked, there were 4 views the last months, and there's no way of checking
Where
it in the
I
system.
hadn't seen them, so I didn't.
Well, we're not allowed to talk to each other, but they're on that
It
sharing thing.
It came out, a note came out though, saying it was there. In fact, I thought it was, maybe it wasn't attached, maybe it sent me to SharePoint, I don't remember. But,
It had 4 views, one of which was mine.
okay, well, one of which was probably mine.
Okay, so to me, it's a lot of work. I'm willing to, but not if no
Well,
one's.
apparently not everybody read or got the email from, I'll go back and look, I assume it was George's.
Are
name.
you in the habit of just checking SharePoint?
Well, you see, that's the thing. It'd be really good. I mean, I don't know administratively if this is a gateway thing, but I know I'm not allowed, but she could just email them to everybody.
That'd be nice.
I thought I had an email, I thought that's how I thought.
So, I mean, no,
I don't think I got it,
I don't want to take a lot of time with this. I know we're pressed, but
Yeah,
it's a concern I have.
well, yeah, would you check and see? I thought that's how I got it, because I don't just go out and look at SharePoint. I look at it when I get, here's the email that
Yeah.
says the tracker is out there. Here's the email that the notes are out there.
Yeah.
And I thought it was attached, but I might have clicked it in the
Is there any way to modify SharePoint so that we know who had viewed it? Because it now gives you a number, how many views.
I could ask.
It's just a possibility.
I find them helpful.
Okay, because they're
We'll
very
go back
books,
to the rest of them.
and this time it's gonna be crazy. Also, when you do the quick hits, could you just?
I
give
didn't
these
do
numbers?
this. I did not do this.
Oh,
I put one out that I thought was organized. Somebody else restructured. I'm not gonna say because we're being recorded. The person probably did what they thought was appropriate. What I'm gonna do is I'm putting it in an Excel spreadsheet. I don't think anybody was, Ted would have remembered the project listings I used to put out for the team. And it was a little project list. It was a number, the name of the project, who the lead was, what the current status was, due date, like a little.
I got that.
And that's what I'm gonna do, because then when other people, because you think what happened is I sent mine and then you sent yours in and got put together and rearranged. It's hard because when I went to prepare for the meeting, when it was in the same order every time, it's easy. So I'm gonna put it in an Excel spreadsheet. And, I'll send it.
Yes,
to
so that,
everybody.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But
And then
people do what they think is the right thing to do.
you received a question from Don Brownell. It didn't make it to the agenda.
What question
About-
is that?
Kids that were fishing.
Oh, I didn't put it in the agenda because I thought it was closed.
You know, the agenda was closed.
No, I thought the issue was closed.
Oh, I wouldn't have.
Oh, the different kids fishing than the ones that were destroying property?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And where you can fish, yeah,
Okay, I don't know how that closed, but if it's fine. If it went
Yeah.
away, it went away.
I think it's closed. Yeah. Oh, I get a ton of them. I get an average of 6 or so a week. Those miscellaneous questions, and I just address them in response. I rarely say, if you guys want to hear about them,
Man, we have enough.
yeah, but I get a lot of them.
Okay, I hope answer.
Yeah,
Can we get a motion for the adjournment if this is the intent, Chair, Madam Chair?
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, we have a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? We are adjourned as of 12:54. Thank you, everybody.
So thanks, for whatever.